5. Forgotten wartime shipwrecks. Forgotten shipwrecks litter the floor of the Atlantic Ocean, dating back to the First World War. These liners were sunk by mines and torpedoes off the Irish coast and now lie in watery graves among the sand. The HMS Audacious, which sank in October of 1914, is the oldest ruin found here, but there are also submarines, ocean liners, and merchant vessels. The Audacious was swallowed by the ocean after it was hit by a German mine, but luckily all of the passengers except for one was rescued by the White Star liner Olympic, the sister ship to the Titanic. The haunting wreck of the German U-boat 89 can be seen here as well. After only 6 months in service with the Imperial German Navy, it was sunk on February 12, 1918, after taking damage when it was rammed by HMS Roxburgh. Sadly, everyone on board the U-89 lost their lives. The HMS Vicnor, which was an armed merchant cruiser, can also be found on the seabed in the same general area. Unlike the HMS Audacious, the Vicnor sank mysteriously without sending a single distress signal. On board the ship were 295 Royal Navy officers, who were all thought to have perished during its sinking. According to ship records from the 1900s, the Vicnor went on patrol from the River Tyne on December 28, 1914, and then on January 1st, she joined in on patrol off the north coast of Scotland. The captain and crew had been tasked with finding and stopping the Norwegian America Line ship known as the Bergensford, which was believed by the UK government to be harboring a German spy. The HMS Vicnor found Bergensford and detained the vessel. It then escorted the ship to Kirkwall in Orkney, where the suspected spy and several other prisoners were then transferred to the Vicnor. After they completed their mission, they set sail for Liverpool but never made it to their destination. Nobody knows for sure exactly what happened to this ship. However, there is a theory which states the Vicnor could have been sunk by a German naval mine, which is why it never sent out a distress signal. And shortly after the ship sank, parts of the wreck and many bodies began washing up on shore. Surprisingly, the wrecked remains of the HMS Vicnor were not discovered until 91 years later in 2006, as it's believed that it sank into the ocean on January 13, 1915. The long-forgotten wartime vessel now sits at the bottom of the sea, under approximately 250 feet of water. Most of the wrecks that are found in the Atlantic Ocean are at depths which are beyond the reach of recreational divers. In order to explore the abandoned ships, specialized equipment and exotic gases that are associated with technical diving are required. Historic England has estimated that there could be around 40,000 shipwrecks scattered around the coast of the British Isles that are still waiting to be discovered. 4. The Bloop. The Bloop was a high-amplitude, ultra-low-frequency underwater sound that was detected by the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in the year 1997. When it was first recorded, scientists were at a loss as to what the noise was, but over the years, many theories have been suggested. The source of the bloop originated from a remote point in the South Pacific Ocean. It was triangulated to be roughly 50 degrees south and 100 degrees west near the southern tip of South America. The sound was captured by a system of hydrophones that are primarily used to monitor undersea, ice noise, seismicity, and marine mammal migration and population, known as the Equatorial Pacific Ocean Autonomous Hydrophone Array. The system was designed and built by NOAA's Pacific Marine Environmental Laboratory in order to augment the administration's use of the US Navy Sound Surveillance System. They explained that when they first detected the noise, it continued to rise in frequency over roughly 1 minute, and its amplitude was sufficient enough to be captured on multiple sensors at a range of over 3,000 miles. A sound of this magnitude had never before been recorded, which sparked the first rumor to explain the bloop's origin. People jumped at the opportunity to propose that some kind of giant sea creature had to have been responsible for the mysterious sound. With no other sounds quite like it, theories of massive whales, giant squids, and other sea life unknown to science began to circulate in the media. Other theories, such as underwater military exercises, were also proposed, but nothing was confirmed until 2005. Researchers from PMEL continue to deploy hydrophones even closer to Antarctica over the next couple of years, in hopes of capturing exactly what they captured in 1997. They studied the sounds of earthquakes and seafloor volcanoes, and it was here that they discovered the true source of the bloop. They were able to confirm that after years of research, the thunderous rumbles from the deep had been nothing more than an ice quake. They found that this sound occurs when an iceberg cracks and breaks away from an Atlantic glacier. With global warming continuing to be a crisis, more and more ice quakes are occurring annually, and it's likely that the bloop sound will be captured many more times in the coming future, but now we'll be able to identify it as what it really is. 3. The Kraken. While we're on the subject of terrifying underwater mysteries, we have to talk about the famed sea monster known as the Kraken. The legendary creature of enormous proportions has been said to appear off the coasts of Norway. The first description of the Kraken came from a travelogue written by Francesco Negri at the beginning of the 18th century in 1700. Negri was an Italian Catholic priest that traveled in Scandinavia and later published an account of everything he saw during his journey. Then, in 1734, Hansa Gerde, a Dano-Norwegian explorer and missionary, described the Kraken in full detail, comparing it to the Hafgufa, which is a massive sea monster from medieval lore. And although rumors of the legendary beast had already begun to circulate, the first description of the Kraken is typically credited to Pontoppidan, a Norwegian bishop in 1753. He was the first to liken the Kraken to an octopus of tremendous size, and explained in his writings that the sea creature had a reputation for pulling ships underwater. Pontoppidan claimed that the marine monster was often mistaken as a group of tiny islands with ample fish swimming in between them. But when fishermen would throw their lines over the sides of their boat, the Kraken would trap and sink them with its many arms. He also explained that seamen were in danger due to the giant whirlpool that would appear every time the beast submerged itself under the water. Over the years, there have been numerous paintings and artworks dedicated to the mysterious Kraken, which depict the struggle between man and the sea monster. One such famous piece of art, called The Kraken of the Imagination by John Gibson, was created in 1887. But the oldest drawing of the giant octopus was drawn in 1801 by Pierre Denis Montfort, which proves that the belief of the legendary Kraken has been alive and well for over 200 years. Even though there is no definitive proof that this monster really exists, it's not impossible to think that a creature similar to a massive octopus could be living in the depths of the ocean. Many people still believe in the Kraken to this day, and the legend of this beast will likely live on for the unforeseeable future. Do you believe that the Kraken really could exist? Let us know what you think in the comments, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. 2. Mexico's Kerr Shipwreck. The Gulf of Mexico has come to be known as one of the richest locations for maritime archaeology in the world. Around 4,000 shipwrecks can be found scattered about the seafloor, including those that are in nearshore shallows, as well as ships that have been sunk under thousands of feet of darkness. However, one of these shipwrecks is not like the others and has mysteriously been labeled as cursed by several people who have attempted to study the underwater wreck. Various research teams have tried to study this wrecked ship over the years, but the first of many disastrous attempts was made in January of 2002. Teams from the Mineral Management Service and the Nautical Archaeology Program at Texas A&M University worked together to try and produce more detailed recording and mapping of the site, and also plan to collect data, samples, and artifacts from the wreck. Brett A. Fanu from TAMU was hoping to bring something up from the ship that would help them identify a definitive date on the sunken vessel. However, the teams ran into nothing but problems. They first sent down a mini submarine to view the wreck, but after just 30 minutes in the water, the hydraulic system balked and stopped working. Then, when they tried video monitoring of the site, the cameras blacked out every time the thrusters were engaged. A few mishaps might have been explained by the unreliability of technology, but their issues didn't end there. When the mini-sub finally did reach the wreck, the sonar failed, and the scientists' many attempts to reboot the system had no effect. 6 months later, in July of that same year, a team working on board the NR-1 and the Caroline Chuest tried their hand at launching a robotic submarine to the wrecked ship site. Not surprisingly, things didn't go how they hoped. The moment the rover hit the water, it veered off course and went completely out of control. The tether that was attached to the submarine became entangled in the ship's propellers, which caused the rover to crash into the underside of the Caroline Chuest. The team was actually unable to recover the submarine, and they never saw it again. The crew from the NR-1 had been on the seabed when the first accident occurred, but they weren't aware of the failure. They set about their own work and mapped the entire site and even shot video of the area and the wreckage. However, when they deployed their vessel equipped with robot arms to recover artifacts from the site, they found the arms were too short to grab onto any of the desired pieces. So they instead tried for the stern post that was positioned where the rudder once stood, which they believed had identifying marks etched onto it. However, disaster struck once again, and upon reaching the surface, the vessel's hydraulic system failed, the robotic arms went limp, and the post vanished beneath the water, never to be found again. These were not the only cursed expeditions to try and gain more information on this sunken ship. And, as of today, the origins behind this vessel that is shrouded in darkness and 2,600 feet below the surface remains a mystery. Baltic Sea Anomaly. An interesting sonar image captured by Dennis Aberg, Peter Lindberg and their Swedish OceanX diving team has now been named the Baltic Sea Anomaly. They had been treasure hunting on the bottom of the northern Baltic Sea in the middle of the Gulf of Bothnia in June of 2011 when they came across the mysterious sonar image. The diving team suggested that the photo showed a distinct object with unusual features resting deep underneath the freezing waters between Sweden and Finland. They have been unable to identify exactly what the object is, but it seems to be of non-natural origins and rises a reported 10 to 13 feet from the seabed. Their discovery prompted speculation that was published in tabloid newspapers, informing their readers that it was a sunken UFO. OceanX claimed that their sonar image shows a 197-foot diameter round object that has features resembling stairways, ramps, and other structures that are not regularly produced by nature. The group allegedly attempted to revisit the site in 2012 to get a more clear image, but they apparently ran into some mysterious electrical interference that prevented them from doing so. After this incident, even more stories were published, specifically by the UK newspaper The Daily Mail in June of that year, and rumours continued to circulate that the object was either a UFO, a portal into another world, or an underwater Stonehenge. Samples of stone that were supposedly taken from the site by OceanX were handed over to Volker Bruchert, a professor of geology at Stockholm University. Bruchert analyzed the samples and found that the rocks were mostly made of gneisses, granites, and sandstones. There was also a single piece of basaltic or volcanic rock included among the specimens, which was definitely out of place on the seafloor, but not ridiculously unusual. The entire northern Baltic region is heavily influenced by glacial thawing processes, and because of this, Bruchert believes that the rock samples likely formed in connection with both glacial and post-glacial developments. He even believes that the rock shown on the sonar image could have been transported there by glaciers, which would explain the volcanic rock that was found at the site. However, this theory has not been confirmed. The Baltic Sea Anomaly still remains a mystery to this day, not because of lack of knowledge, but due to its sheer size and specific shape. Scientists and explorers are still unable to determine the exact reason why such a unique formation was shaped at the bottom of the sea. The object is submerged at a depth of roughly 300 feet beneath the Gulf's waters, and has led some to speculate that it could be an asteroid or meteorite that fell to the seafloor. But the most believed theory regarding the Baltic Sea Anomaly is that it's an alien spaceship or spacecraft. Even though there's not much evidence to support this claim, there isn't really evidence to dispute it either. However, this belief is supported by the findings of the OceanX diving team, who's been able to capture footage of an alleged 985-foot runway, which leads to the object like a staircase. Which of these underwater mysteries did you find the most terrifying? Let us know in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. Bye!